The views expressed in the following podcasts are in full accord with the UN Declaration of Human Rights, usually. They do not reflect the views of our employers, spouses, friends, colleagues, and might not even be included in the Mueller Report. We can't really be sure there. Julian Assange hasn't leaked it yet. Your mileage may vary. Welcome to Two and Change, the unapologetically Canadian podcast, the 2-drink minimum. Sorry about that. The drinking is
Fake.
Real. The people are
Fake.
real. And the opinions, unfortunately, are...
Fake news.
Something you need to get off your chest there, Mike?
I think you know what I'm talking about. The Mueller Report. Complete vindication for President Trump.
Don't you mean the Barr 4-page summary, which doesn't even quote the...
Also fake.
Really? They won't even release the report? How do you even...
I don't need to see it. It's fake news.
Wait, I'm confused. The report is fake or the summary?
All of it. Fake news. Witch hunt.
But if it's a fake news witch hunt, how could it vindicate Trump? I don't understand.
You're fake news too, Josh.
You know, we're not even a news show. I mean, I think we're probably more light entertainment than anything.
You're just mad because President Trump is completely innocent and now gets to be president for life.
That's it. I'm hitting the button.
There's no button. That's also fake.
Technically, he's not wrong.
Oh, for
Welcome to A Change. This is Josh, and I have kept my drink simple tonight so I can remember what the hell it is. I am drinking Jack Daniels with ice and a little bit of water.
Nice. Kicking it old school.
Yeah, and on the mediocre scale, it will mediocrely probably get me drunk.
Nice.
We appreciate that. This is Mike. I am also, this is something new for me. Tim has here it's a bottle of Barn Burner. It's an Ontario handcrafted whiskey.
You say Ontario like it's surprising.
Well, it's just, I've never seen Ontario, like specifically Ontario whiskey, but like Canadian whiskey, Scotch whiskey, Irish whiskey, American whiskey, but I've never seen like Ontario whiskey.
Well, labeled Ontario.
Yeah, like labeled that way. I mean, it obviously this is Canadian whiskey, but it's and you know what? As far as Canadian whiskeys go, this is, I think, my favorite one so far.
Nice.
It actually does beat Bareface. So this is a nice one. Yeah, just put it on the rocks and shoot it back. It's good.
Yeah, and this is Tim. I'm joining Mike in that. I'm having a Barn Burner just on the rocks. I realize that my drinking choices have led to drinking a little bit faster because I've been watering it down with the club soda, just knocking that shit back. So I'm gonna take my time, savor a bit, and we'll see where we are midway through the podcast. Hey, and guess what?
He'll be drunk as a skunk. That's where he'll
Yeah.
be.
Well, especially with tonight's topic, because hey, we also got Steve here. Say hello to the folks.
Hello, folks. This is Steve. I'm drinking a Stella Artois like normal because I'm a guy who sticks to what I like.
There.
So, cheers.
Indeed.
Nice.
Nastrovia. Anyway, so this is the Canadian drinking show where we are people of various different political backgrounds. We get together, we talk about whatever's on our mind or whatever was really cool in the news this week. In this case, the Mueller Report and Barr Report. Sorry, and we're going to be talking about the we're going to talk about the ramifications, how we feel about it. The idea is that even though we all come from different sections, because we're doing this under the influence of alcohol, we remain friends.
Exactly. So as Mike hinted there, our topic is actually going to be talking about this whole Mueller Report. Except I can't call it Mueller Report. It's the Barr shitty book summary. This is like a ninth grader trying to
Read the back of the book without reading it and just kind of
like doing
No. I don't think it's a ninth grader. I think it's going to have a little higher quality than that. It's the
second, his mom wrote the report.
No, it's the second year university course. University course for the kid who took 6 courses instead of 5 and is just trying to get shit done.
There, yes.
Well, this is sort of like what I was joking earlier. It's like this would be like if I was doing little. In conclusion, Little Women is a book.
Exactly.
It was made by Penguin Publishing.
Exactly. How many words am I at now? What's my word count?
Yeah. Yes,
Actually,
we know the margins were 3 inches. We all know that trick.
I'm gonna give a little bit of credit to Barr here, not in the sense of
right.
I appreciate what he wrote or anything, because I don't. What I do like about it, the fact is that he came up with this 4-page summary in 10 days. Like,
Because it's probably written
over
before.
the weekend.
But this was
that which is a problem.
Hold on. This was a 400-page report. Now, it's not 400 pages like a Harry Potter book, which is fun to read. Like, this was the most heavy-packed legalese. Like, this document would have been ridiculous to get through. If this guy did not go through at least 2 bottles of whiskey writing this report, I'm disappointed in him. Like, for him to be able to come up with...
Be prepared to be disappointed.
Yeah.
No. I would be surprised if he didn't go through 2 bottles of whiskey while writing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, you had a chance to kind of go through the letter that was written off and stuff, or at least I'm sure you're up on the news though. So
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, from what I understand, I mean, the jury's still out. I mean, he's
More or less.
he's a political appointee of the president.
Yeah.
So what do we expect right now? We don't know anything. We're kind of living in a weird time right now between the conclusion of the Mueller report and the release of the Mueller report.
The Mueller report's not being released.
the
Unless
Trump
Julian Assange
administration-
releases it, it's not coming.
There's going to be more to come out. The House is going to demand answers, and they have the judicial precedence to have that released.
And
right?
that is how the Democrats are playing right into the Republicans' hands.
Oh, they're not playing anyone's hands.
Look, so look, it's already starting to happen. I'm looking at what's happening on conservative circles all over the internet, and like the memes I'm seeing right now.
jerks.
I'm seeing the memes right now, and the memes are, I mean, they're actually really quite clever. You got the meme where it basically says in 2016, let's say January 2016, Democrats are like, we will accept the outcome of the election. And then December of 2016, we will not accept the outcome of the election. And then it was like 4 weeks ago, we will accept the outcome of the Mueller report. And now we will not accept the outcome of the Mueller
Yeah,
report.
but the whole
like they're
idea-
painting these Democrats
We
as
haven't
these
read
people.
it, though.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, yes, it does.
Here's why it doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is because this was never about the content of the report. This was about using this as a pawn in the political game to get Trump reelected in 2020, and the Democrats are falling for it. Because right now, what the Democrats need to be doing is pointing out what is going wrong with the American economy, what is going wrong with America's business overseas. Instead, they're still trying to impeach Trump. And
All right, who wants
every
to go
time they
first?
do that,
Okay, so
hold up. Every time they do that, Trump gets to claim witch hunt, and he gets to now say, and look, the Mueller report and the Barr report said it's a witch hunt. And the whole Republican base
Okay, he's broke.
is rallying
He's broke.
now.
Okay.
Okay, now Josh.
Okay. So I think you're taking it too far, but I don't
Really?
necessarily disagree with you.
Okay.
So I think there is a bit of a trap the Democrats find themselves in. They put a lot of their eggs in one basket here.
They did.
And the basket was never going to pan out. So I think they were hoping that maybe Mueller would just it would find
it
some-
Mueller or
I think-
Mueller?
well, whatever.
Mueller.
Anyways,
Other sounds like can't.
I would think the Democrats were hoping that Mueller would find a
Smoking gun.
smoking gun and be able to set something off, but he wasn't able to find that true and
That well, hold on a thing that we know of, and I actually am loath as I am to say this, I a little bit agree with Mike and you as well on this point, because this is I've been pretty consistent, I think, with what I said, that probably what wound up happening is that did Trump criminally collude with the Russians?
No.
Probably not.
Did someone on his campaign do?
So either these people are really smart and covered up well, or really stupid and got used as Russian assets.
yeah.
Yeah, but we
And
know
Mueller's basically saying these people are
and they're both
stupid.
scary.
we know how
Yeah, both
Trump
of those are
colludes.
really bad.
Trump colludes with a wink and a nod. Michael Cohen said it himself
Yeah.
during his testimony. Nothing's out going to be on paper. Nothing's going to be like findable for Mueller. So the entire search was for naught, because nothing is in stone that I colluded with the Russians. Obviously not.
And that makes Trump a smart criminal.
Well, and,
So it's
and who's gonna go?
Smart, really?
Who's
Really?
gonna collude with a foreign government and write a fucking memorandum and sign it? Like, you know what I mean? Like something that can be discovered.
I mean, here's the thing: we accuse Donald Trump of being stupid. But I mean, if he's smart enough to he's smart enough to not write shit down. But the people around him weren't exactly that
He's
smart.
smart enough to weasel his way into a presidency.
This whole thing is turning into an election issue, and the whole campaign is going to be around the character of the man Donald Trump. And this is exactly what the Republicans want, because what is Donald Trump's character? Shady, awful, terrible. And who didn't already know that when he was elected 3 years ago? So they're
Yeah.
basically gearing up to run a campaign on the exact same premise as the last one, which was a losing strategy. And that's exactly what the Republicans are
Now,
counting
here-
on, and the Democrats are
now
playing
here's
into
some,
it.
but here's some things though. Now that the pressure's off of Trump, maybe Trump will make some bigger mistakes, right? Because it's easy to be like shooting back and be like, "Oh, witch hunt," and just creating this big distraction.
Have you
if
ever
this
heard
distraction's gone,
Have you ever heard the I don't want to say analogy story of like why you shouldn't ever play checkers with a pigeon?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how good of a player you are. The pigeon's just going to shit on the board and strut around like you won no matter what you do.
Yep.
That's what Democrats are trying to do. They're trying to play checkers with a pigeon.
And it's a court, and it's not working.
Actually, I think that's probably more literal than.
Stormy Daniels.
But I'm telling you, if the Democrats keep this up, they're going to lose in 2020.
I
They
don't know,
will.
Mike. Going to your point, like before the 2016 election, people were using the defense of locker room talk for Donald Trump. Well, since then, it's come out that it wasn't just a locker room talk, him talking on a bus with one of his buddies about, touching women inappropriately. It's come out that he's literally had an affair with women on his pregnant wife at the time. And that's not locker room talk. He's paid these people off to not talk. Locker room talk would not have been a valid defense at the time of the election in 2016. Now that we know more, who knows? I don't think people are going to give him a pass as easily as you think they're going to.
Yeah, here's the thing.
But they're not going to hang him over an affair with Stormy Daniels. Not today anymore.
They're not going to hang him
because
over
the Democrats
an affair.
try to. Everyone's just going to talk about Clinton.
No,
but-
you've got like the Christian right and family matters. Like
he's
people
the
like
next,
he's the next Nixon. He's
Hold
just
up.
listening.
But the Christian right don't care how bad Trump is.
That's my point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm
Because
agreeing with
whoever the Democrat is, he's the next Antichrist. That's how that works.
Obama
Again,
and
this
his,
is how Alabama Christianity sees it.
you. I know.
Well, yeah, like damn that Obama and his time machine. My God.
So here's the things though. So Donald Trump came out and doubled down on stupid. So he's saying that he's going to close off the entire Mexican border. He's threatening that again by the
Parts of the
next
Mexican
week.
border. I did read the
Large
article.
parts, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The Mexican border. What else?
Because it's a border now. Good. Like what fucking good's that going to do?
Now a thing that he could hand the Democrats would be a great gift for them, because then it would be about policy and not about the cult of Donald Trump. Would be the striking down Obamacare in the courts. That would be a gift to the Democrats.
It would,
Well,
and I don't
they
think it's
tried
going to
this,
go there.
But they tried this. They tried one of Trump's very first things he tried to push through was healthcare reform.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get his own party on side, and that's when he controlled the House.
He doesn't give a shit. He's gonna get his attorney general to pursue it in the courts.
Yeah, but they have to replace it with something to get the American people to buy in.
Yeah.
Because the American people, this is why the Senate revolted to begin with, is because they could not get their own people on board.
He can just
because
cancel
they're
it.
constituents.
He can just sue to cancel it.
He can sue to cancel it, but they got to replace it. Otherwise,
no.
you're going to lose the Senate
You're right,
support.
he doesn't.
That's the last thing he needs.
You're right. He doesn't need support from a legal perspective, but if he wants the White House in 2020, he needs to replace it.
Just
he
not
needs to
Donald
replace
Trump. What about Donald Trump has given you the idea that he has a long-term strategy other than slash and burn?
He
like
beat
the
a
Joker,
one day at a
man.
time.
in 2016. He beat a 30-year public servant. That's how I think.
But he
he's
did it
done.
by slashing and burning. He didn't necessarily I'm going to slash and burn and replace. He just slash and burns.
Yeah.
Right? He just creates chaos and then feeds off that chaos, right? And that for him, he's thinking that's the strategy is let's attack Obamacare. People don't like that. Slash and burn it. He doesn't care about replacing it, right? In his mind, this is going to play out well.
The
for
black
him.
guy did it,
But-
therefore I have to undo it.
Right, and then the reality is the Democrats are going to be pushing for full socialized medicine. Like there's pretty much not a candidate that's not
Correct. Yeah.
So
There are a few.
There's a couple, but
the credible ones are pushing for fully socialized.
Beto has been a little disappointment in this category.
Yeah.
But
Well, here's one, and actually, that's another interesting point that tells me that the Democrats are setting themselves up brilliantly to spectacularly lose in 2020 again. And it has to do with the fact that right now, if you watch CNN, even Fox, all of the major news carriers, who are they talking about? I have not heard. I have not heard the
Christine
name.
Gillibrand, Kamala Harris.
actually,
Cory
the one
Booker,
guy, Pete
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Yeah, I mean,
Edge.
honestly,
Buttigieg.
85 to 90%
he
of
will.
the program.
That man will be president at some point.
Hold up.
I don't
I'm
think
almost certain of it.
2020.
85, 90% of the media coverage right now is still talking about Trump. I have no idea when the last time Booker gave a speech was. I'm sure he's giving them, but they're not being covered.
Well, what
because
you
they're
watch
still
is
busy
Fox News, Mike. Of course it's.
I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch CNN either. I don't.
But
like
even
either.
Trump is pivoting right now. He's talking about healthcare. He's talking about Jesse Smollett. He's talking about everything but the Russia report. Don't you think that he'd be celebrating more if it actually did exonerate him like he claims it does? I think there's a lot more there, in all honesty.
Well, there is.
Well, he's celebrating to his base, though. To be fair,
He is.
I think
Absolutely.
I can see this report coming out though. Like you guys,
He's controlling the
It's going to be
narrative right now.
it's going to be.
We're all looking past it. We're looking to 2020 already. Let's not look past it. We are buying what the Barr opinion has told us to buy at this point in
we
time.
are.
But listen to what Adam Schiff said in the House yesterday. He said, you may think it's okay for this. You may think it's okay for that. He pretty much put the Republicans in their place when they tried to tell him he needs to step down. I don't know if any of you guys saw that.
Yeah, I saw
in the
that,
House,
yeah.
but it made me think that
a big fuck
this
you.
is not even close to being over.
Oh, it's not.
As
No.
far as the
It's
Russia
just
scandal
starting.
is concerned, it's just starting.
It is.
And Trump would love us to all think about healthcare and Jesse Smollett and 2020 and Kamala Harris and all these people he's going to beat because he wants us to get over what is truly the matter at hand right now.
because this is what I think we're going to see in that report. We're going to see there was not criminal, we can pin you to the wall collusion.
Awful but lawful is what we're going to see.
Yeah,
that's
awful,
what we're going to
awful,
see.
but lawful.
And that's not what, and I mean, they do not want the narrative being out there like, well, show me in the rule book that a dog can't play basketball.
Right, exactly.
They're trying to get away from, they're trying to get that narrative.
Show me it's
off.
illegal.
Yeah.
Show me it's illegal.
Because there
It's
wasn't,
illegal.
because there
that's
wasn't
why.
a concrete evidence, some kind of recorded information on paper that there was collusion, that nobody's going to be buying that in a few weeks. Right now, we're living in a crazy time, like I said, between the bar opinion and the actual Mueller report being released.
That Mueller report's is gonna be so redacted. There's gonna be more information in the bar summary
It's
than
gonna-
there will be in
yeah,
the
it's
damn
gonna be
report.
subpoenaed.
Well,
It's
and what's
gonna be subpoenaed, and
and
there's-
Adam Schiff's going to have Mueller sit there and say, okay, just so we have it in the record, please read a copy of your report.
And I
he's
want
gonna
to
get
see
right
the
in record.
Republicans defend him when it does come out. What Donald Trump did, we only know a small
Oh, I can't
amount.
wait for Lindsey Graham's defense on this. God.
Well, he's pretty good at spinning, but I want to see it
Fucking
as well.
Blanche Dubois is going to need her fainting couch.
Like, I do not think the Mueller report is going to end up being a large missile or torpedo in the Democratic gun. It's just not.
I
Because
think
so much of it is going to be censored, redacted, held away from the public that they're going to make very sure that any attempt by the Democrats to use the Mueller report for anything is going to look like a witch hunt. That's what they're going to do.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to leave it there for now. When we come back, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we have a special Florida Man edition of Weekly WTF. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about the Mueller report and see what implications it's going to be for Canada. Say if we have, well, we are a Canadian podcast, so we have to kind of bring it home a little bit. Anyway, we'll be right back. You're listening to Two and Change with Tim and...
Hold on. What made you in charge? Who gets to do
Why
the
are you
stuff?
the guy who always gets to start this piece off?
It's my house.
You know, it's my house.
It's my house.
You know what?
Okay.
It's also Two and Change. You can visit our website at twoandchange.ca. You
Also
can
find
see-
us wherever our podcast.
You can see Mike there and Josh.
Yeah,
and
the other
that's-
two important people.
And there's somebody else.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to twoandchange.ca and check us out.
I'm not doing this with you guys anymore. And welcome back to the second half of Two and Change.
Hey, Tim, what time is it?
It's my line. Hey guys, you know what time it is?
Till time.
It's time for Weekly What the Florida Man edition. I know, right? So y'all know how this works. Normally we go out there and find the weirdest, wackiest, and wildest news for you, but today we just picked 3 headlines.
And by we, Tim.
Yes. I picked 3 headlines here. I'm going to read them, and the rest of the table has to guess, is this Florida man? So 1, 2, or 3. Which is the real Florida man? Will the real Florida man please stand up? So all I did is I took the news story as it stood, remove any identifying characteristics as far as where it is from.
I'm ready.
All right, so headline number 1.
I feel like I need a Jeopardy-style buzzer here.
So just wait for them all 3, then you
Behind
vote,
door
okay?
number 1.
All right.
Exactly.
So, man believed he was half man, half dog. A forensic psychologist says that a former college student believed that he was a half man, half dog when he fatally attacked a man and woman at their home and was found biting one of their faces.
Canine centaur.
Investigators found that Austin Haruff, now 22, biting John Stevens' face while making growling noises on August 15, 2016. The psychologist's report says the fact that Haruff persisted in biting Stevens' face in the presence of police officers in spite of threats of being shot, being tased, and receiving multiple kicks to the head suggests that Mr. Haruff was actively psychotic. Haruff's attorneys are preparing the insanity defense on November 4th.
Bath salts, not even once, folks. Not even
All right.
That
Headline-
sounds like California to me. So
right.
go to the next one.
All right. Headline number 2. Police fight over donuts led to stabbing at area Krispy Kreme. A Krispy
It's
Kreme.
not Florida, but that's amazing.
Oh, just wait.
I'm listening. I don't need to hear this one.
A Krispy Kreme employee is in jail after police say he stabbed the boyfriend of a coworker after an argument of how to make donuts. Police responded to the restaurant around 10 p.m. On March 27th, they found a male victim lying on the floor with several stab wounds to his torso, stomach, and thighs. Officers applied a tourniquet, and the victim was taken to surgery at a local hospital where he survived. According to the police department, Julius Irving, 32, had gotten into an argument with his coworker over how to make donuts. The employee called her boyfriend to come pick her up, and when he confronted Irving about the argument, officers say Irving tried to hit him. A physical fight broke out, and officers said that Irving armed himself with a 4-inch knife and stabbed the victim several times. Officers quickly took Irving into custody. He said he confessed to the stabbing. Irving is charged with attempted homicide and was booked in the county jail.
Is that how you get donut holes?
Pretty sure. and I also feel like this would only be classified as a crime of passion. Several times in the order, this is a crime of passion.
You know, it is Krispy Kreme, so
It is,
you get
yeah.
pretty passionate. All right, headline 3. Woman accused of shoplifting, masturbating in front of teen on the way to jail. A woman is behind bars after deputies said she attempted to steal from a beauty supply store and then was being transported to the county jail masturbating in front of a teen. Deputies say Tammy Lynn Bonefield, 45, attempted to steal 2 items under $10 from Silky Beauty Supply. When Bonefield was confronted by an employee for attempting to steal items, Bonefield punched them in the head and body and proceeded to kick to another victim. Authorities say she denied stealing everything, but the items were found on her and returned to the store. On the way to jail, Bonefield was transported with a 16-year-old boy when she proceeded to masturbate in front of him. The child was separated from her by a metal partition. Bonefield made multiple sexual comments as well as exposed her breasts and genitals to the boy. Bonefield has been charged with lewd and lascivious with inappropriate exhibition, simple battery, petty theft, and resisting a merchant.
Yeah, that's Florida man.
Florida
woman.
I was gonna say that was Florida woman until you said couldn't say lascivious. I'm like, that's definitely not something they would charge in Florida because they can't say it.
Yeah.
All right. So here are your headlines, guys. Headline 1, man believed he was half man, half dog.
California.
Headline 2, police fight over donuts led to stabbing at a Krispy Kreme. Headline 3,
Kentucky or Tennessee.
woman accused of shoplifting, masturbating in front of teen on way to jail.
Florida.
What's our vote? Josh.
I don't think it's Krispy Kreme because I'm not sure they have those in Florida. But if they do, it's definitely that one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Oh, fuck! This is hard. Like it
1, 2, or
shouldn't
3.
be
It's not
hard.
that hard.
Well, they're all equal.
Time's ticking. Time's
Hey,
ticking.
hey! Don't rush things. This is Miami. So
I have to edit this.
let's go with masturbating woman in the back of the car.
Okay, your votes for 3. Mike.
3.
Steve.
Same.
All right. Well, yes, all 3 of them were Florida man, folks.
Are you?
All 3 of them were Florida man.
So they have Krispy Kreme in Florida, eh?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Anyway, folks, that's
That's
weekly
what
What
we get from that.
Florida Man edition. If you and special thanks to my lovely wife Laura for submitting 2 of the 3.
There you go. That's fantastic.
Yes, please feel free to send some more Florida Man or whatever stories your way. Doesn't always have to be Florida Man,
So
but
a half man, half horse is a centaur. What's a half man, half dog?
Mog,
Is that a real thing? Is that a thing?
half man,
That was
half dog.
quick there,
Mog?
Tim.
Well, hold on.
You
Man,
found- you
horse.
found
You've
it
never
before.
seen Spaceballs?
So how does man horse?
Remember?
Why don't they call
that's
it
what Chevy, that's what what's his face character
It's
was.
already a comic, Dogman.
Dogman? Okay, yeah. Dogman.
Dogbert.
Dogbert.
Mog.
Mog, half
Mog.
man, half dog.
Sure, but
He's his own best friend.
but a centaur is not called a morse.
Pup you. Centaur. Anyway, Mueller Report.
Pew pup. Speaking of pup men,
Speaking of
half dog, half people.
Speaking of, we're all going to be fucked pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right. So where we left off in the Mueller report, we
Right.
were sort of talking about, okay, what is the impact to Canada? So let's say hypothetically,
Yeah.
we find in the Mueller report, okay, let's say he's not criminally responsible to letter of the law.
So awful but lawful.
Awful but lawful. I like that term.
Sure. Thanks, Steve, for that.
How
I
do we
appreciate it.
do we keep dealing with this person? Like, how do we as a country continue to
You
negotiate?
cannot,
How do you not?
cannot afford to not be in business with the United States of America. They're the largest economy on earth for now. China's catching them, but for now, they're the largest economy on earth, and they're
Well,
right there.
I'm not saying we're not going to do business. I'm saying, do we have to continue to? Can we trust someone like this to negotiate in good faith?
No, but can you trust any politician to negotiate in good faith?
Oh, there are shades, man. There are shades. That's a red herring.
But
Come on,
no, because like when we negotiated NAFTA, there was so much shady stuff going on with NAFTA when we first negotiated it, and that's just kind of the way that it works. I mean, you
And all
always
3
send,
countries were, I hate to say it, objectively richer for NAFTA.
on the
It had
whole.
its
on the whole,
it had its
yes.
problems.
I think we should
It
stop
had its
saying
problems.
NAFTA. It's USMCA.
Yeah.
Sounds like a branch of the military, like Space Force.
Exactly. Space Force. Space Force. Yeah, Space Force. That was Songify that did that, right?
Yes, you did.
Beautiful. That was great. My kids
about
loved that.
space?
Let's just stop for a second and realize that Space Force is a legitimate thing now.
Yeah, that's a real.
Like let's just
it's-
wrap
no,
our
it's-
heads around that.
It's a division. It's a division under the Air Force, which makes sense. It's buried there with the Stargate program.
no, it's a
Right.
separate. It's a separate
No, they didn't make it its own branch.
I
no,
don't-
they didn't give its own separate school, but it's a separate branch.
No, it falls under
Technically.
it's its own branch in the way the Marine Corps is its own
Oh,
branch.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Which I guess.
Sure. It's one of the basically it gives people who are in the Space
You're under
Force
the
the ability
Department
to
of the
say
Navy.
to like air pilots, I'm in the
Space
Space
Force.
Force. That's basically what that is. So
Shit, man! If the Space Force recruiter came around when I was in high school, I would have fucking gone to the army. I would have.
Right? Yeah. Although I do feel like we missed a
Hey, kid, you
huge
wanna go to
opportunity.
Space Force?
We missed a huge opportunity not calling it Starfleet. Just saying. I'm just why.
But then it would be under the Navy, not the Air Force.
So make it under the Navy then.
Yeah, but
That it should have been. That makes sense.
but they have all the stuff that goes up high in the air. The Navy. Okay. Anyway.
Moving on. So
Anyway.
do we continue to negotiate with Trump? I mean, yes.
I mean, how do you continue to negotiate if you can't take if he's even the legitimate president at that point?
You walk into the negotiation understanding that they're going to try to screw you, which is exactly how we walked in the negotiation of NAFTA 1.0.
Yeah.
And how we walked into the original free trade agreement with the United States that Mexico wasn't involved in. You
Well-
walk in expecting them to try to screw you.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the free trade agreement right now should be null and void because there is still a steel and aluminum tariff between our two countries.
The problem with that, though, is that if you start a trade war with the United States over something like that, you lose. They're the largest economy on Earth.
Already in one.
Yeah, I know.
We're in a trade war.
Until
Until the tariffs come down, we are in a trade war.
At least we're not a land war in Asia yet.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yet.
You never win
Give him time.
a land war in Asia unless you're that guy who
And never gamble with the Sicilian when life's
Let-
on the line.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Death is on the line.
Yeah.
But obviously, like the last 200 years, we're just gonna have to negotiate with the American president, like it's status quo. I mean, the legitimacy of Trump is up to the American people. So
Yeah, it's not
whoever
up to
they
us.
present to us is their leader.
Yep,
And we're just gonna have to make do with what they present. And they are a very important ally, a very important partner economically.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't
security-wise,
necessarily
socially.
have to accept the legitimacy of a leader.
Well,
That
no,
in
that
the
is
case
their
of- in the
domestic
case of Trump-
politics.
in the case
we
of Trump, we
absolutely do. If that is who they are presenting as, their leader, we have to accept that because
there's tons of
that's
leaders.
their domestic.
There's
politics.
tons of leaders we don't accept as legitimate, even though the local
Maduro?
population.
Except that
when-
the people that we normally accept as leaders, like if we're talking about Trump, for example, we accept him
There
as a
isn't
legitimate
another
leader
there
because
isn't
he was legally elected.
There isn't a president guy claiming to be president in California that doesn't have a sandwich board sign about the end of the world.
Right.
Right now that has some sort of legitimate backing or legitimate
Yet.
beef. So I mean, there to that extent, yeah.
Canada is a satellite state of the United States, and it'll always be like that.
No,
But there was someone in the United States who had some watery tart throw a sword at him and tried to use that as a basis for a system of government. Yeah.
See, now you see the violence inherent in the system. Help, help, I'm being oppressed.
Exactly.
Wouldn't be to and change that at least one Monty Python quote at some point.
Well, like always, though, it would take literally a snap of a finger for the American government to put their military across the 39th parallel and take over Canada. They could do that at any
And
moment's
no-
notice.
and
They,
no one's
they
gonna
always
stop
have
them.
been able to. They always will be able to. So we are at their mercy from a security point of view. We have to negotiate with whoever they determine is their leader.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line.
hard power is not universal.
It's not, and we do have more soft power than they do. But at the same time, look, I mean, I was recently having a conversation with somebody in my church about this. We were just having, he's really big into the military, and we were talking about aircraft carriers. The fact that right now on the planet, there are 21 aircraft carriers, and the United States owns 11 of them.
Yeah,
like
China's
it's-
making more though.
Yeah, they are.
China's got one in the works, but still the thing is too, America actually has experience using aircraft carriers. That doesn't count for nothing.
Fun fact, Japan has one. I didn't think they had a military at all.
Technically, no, they have a military. They have a self-defense force, and technically it's classified as a helicopter carrier.
Right. There it is. Yeah.
Even though it's fucking massive.
Exactly.
Quote unquote. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it just happens to be large enough you can land a plane on it, guys. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. It also has planes that have wings that fold up on it.
Japan is actually rebuilding its military force. So I read a thing.
it is
No, I read a
violation.
thing.
hard.
I read a thing in The Economist about them radically ramping up their.
It's not a
Here's my
violation
problem.
of international law. It's a violation of their own constitution, which is
Yeah.
up again, like how
Internal
Trump
policy,
is,
domestic policy,
which is
yeah.
how Trump is supposedly America's problem. I mean, that's
hang
Japan's
on though,
problem too.
that is unique because their internal constitution, Americans wrote it. Like, so I mean, in some sense, I mean, is it internal policy? Kind of. I mean, it's not like there's a provision in their constitution that says that if we ever want to change this thing or go against it, that America is free to invade again. It's not. I mean,
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, it's kind of like getting around to this issue. Like we talk about Canada's reliance on the United States.
Yeah.
Japan. I mean, Japanese policy tends to largely be American policy too. Canadian policy tends to be American policy.
Well, most of
and
the
then
free
in the
world
meanwhile,
does,
but in the meanwhile, you have like I've never been a fan of the term free world, but I'll leave that
relative
aside.
term. Relative
It's a
term.
very relative term. Go and tell all those people dying from coal dust in their lungs about their freedom in West Virginia. But
they have a great song. West Virginia.
Tell the kids at Tenement Square how free they were, though, too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's
Well,
At least
exactly.
Americans
It's-
could protest.
Yeah.
Let's not lose sight of the big
well,
picture.
let's not lose sight of the big. I'm being a little facetious there. I'll give you that
like,
one.
they've got a lot
But-
of
but
problems.
at the same.
But let's be real here for a second.
They're free.
America is a great
here's-
country.
But here's the
Absolutely,
problem.
and that's
Here's-
what we lose
okay.
sight of all the time. We
There's-
always hate on Americans. We never realize that
They are one of the greatest
they
countries
set
on
the
earth.
precedent
But
for
here's
freedom and
but
democracy.
that's just it, and that's exactly the point I'm trying to get to. These are people who set themselves up as being the hard power and soft power, world police, et cetera,
Yep.
and now you have a president who's actively trying to back away from the role of that,
Yep.
while completely ignoring the benefits of what that brought to
Big
that
mistake.
country.
Big mistake.
It's not only guaranteed peace and security for the Americans, but it's also bolstered their economy to the world's largest economy by far.
Yep.
And the question is, why is he withdrawing from the world? Why?
Like, why is he going to NATO and saying
Why?
you owe us money when the reality is NATO was an American idea to begin with?
Yeah.
That's what gives legitimacy to the conspiracy theorists out there that believe that he still is in cahoots with the Russians to some degree.
Yeah.
There is validity to that theory because of things like you just said right there. Why is he, as a leader of the free world, withdrawing all of America's influence? Why?
And a big
America's
part of that is
influence
because there
extended
is
beyond.
people have gotten this in their head that being the world police has this massive economic cost, and it does. And also people, myself included, believe that this idea of a self-imposed or the self-proclaimed world police also means that, yes, perpetual peace for America and perpetual war for everybody else.
Here's the thing about
Like,
America,
it's not
though.
wrong.
Here's the thing about America that I actually hate the term world police. They've never been world police, not once. So they only attack and they only
Panama,
they
Cuba,
only,
Iraq, Iran.
Yeah, that's not world
Afghanistan,
police.
That's not
Libya,
that's
Egypt.
not what you're
You're describing invasions.
Exactly.
You're saying invasion and occupation. That's not police.
No, okay,
That's
fine.
That's like
that's
saying-
a new version of imperialism.
That's like saying no, it wasn't a rape; it was a Tinder date.
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
that-
Those are no
with
no.
a roofie. Tinder date with a roofie is not the same thing.
not-
That's like
That's
claiming,
just
that's
rape.
like claiming the Brits in the early
just locker room talk,
in the,
okay?
in the 19th. That's like claiming the Brits in the 19th century were the world police. Like they not really.
Yeah. Except the British were at
It
least
had
better at it.
it had a
Tell
very
that to
strong
Africa.
benefit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but hang on
India.
though. While the British Empire was there, they were fed. The Roman Empire could claim the same thing, and this is actually a big part of why we cannot feed the third world right now, because the only way to feed them is to conquer them, and we don't want to do that.
So here's the
Well,
thing.
no. Okay. Well, I mean, is being fed more important than being free, Mr. Libertarian?
Who? If you're asking me to choose between being fed or being free,
That's a contextual thing.
yeah.
So-
yeah,
And
context is
I
for
hate to
kings.
say it. I hate to say it. Most people go for fed, not over freedom, and that's just simple biology.
I would rather die on my feet than live on my
And
knees.
comparing
Easy.
British imperialism to American imperialism, the Americans could have easily taken over South America at
Yeah.
any point in time in the last couple hundred years.
They really
tried.
could.
And
They
controlled,
actively
and
tried.
control them. They could have tried harder.
Yeah,
but
they
they
could've.
decided to stop
was-
their sovereignty at the Mexican border. For a
No.
reason.
They also
For a
expand.
reason.
Remember, you're completely forgetting the Spanish-American War, in which they also took on. They also took
Which
Puerto
Spanish
Rico.
American War?
They
Are we
also
talking
took-
which one though? Are we talking about
talking
like
the
blame
one-
the main on Spain, Spanish American War?
I'm not saying they weren't meddling, but they made a conscious decision not to declare sovereignty over different territories like the British did, for example.
No, they just.
Well,
they just,
but the
they just
problem
put
is though
military
is that they were
bases.
still recovering. They were still
difference,
recovering
though,
from
at
the
the same
Civil
time.
War at that point. I'm talking about the 1880s.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're talking about that Spanish-American
They-
War. So,
Because
I mean,
there was a
it's little
time
more-
that America was into this manifest destiny thing, and they believed that they were destined to own the Americas from north
so
to
the
south
Americans
pole.
just reinvented it. So the only difference, the only real difference is the same game. They're just not wearing pith helmets anymore. So it's like it's
because they don't look because
Right.
those khakis is just
Right?
a bad fashion choice.
So instead, they wear suits to the IMF and they say, "Okay, poor ass country, we're going to
here's
install
the
a
thing.
military base to control you to make sure your banks do exactly what we want."
So
it's the same
we're,
premise.
So we're wrapping up here, and I don't want to think that we're America bashing. It's more.
I am.
To me,
I have serious
it's
concerns
sort
with
of
the way
like-
that America is going, the direction that they're choosing, but I maintain America is for now, one of the greatest countries on earth. And I much rather
He
see
is
them in a
one
position of
of.
power and prosperity than I would, for example, China.
Well, here's the thing: one of,
Or,
by
God
the
forbid, Saudi Arabia. I have
one
no
of,
interest in either
but
of those two
one
countries.
of from the standards of a country who is benefiting greatly off of being on the American border. Let's not keep,
No, let's put it this way. If we were on
ask an Iraqi what they think of America's greatness.
But,
you
hold
might
up.
get a completely different answer.
If Canada were on the Chinese border, would I be as grateful to China for their security that they would provide me? No.
Probably.
If I was on the Saudi Arabian border, would I be grateful to Saudi Arabia for it? Hell no. Absolutely not. Like, there is something about...
we probably wouldn't have a podcast.
Right?
But then again, we may not care.
Maybe
Remember?
not. But
Fed versus free.
the right to dissent is a very important one. And right now, if I look at the world powers of today, America still has it. For
See,
now,
and
they
here's
still
the-
have it.
and here's the thing,
Britain
right?
is eroding it rapidly, and that bothers me.
But power. But
the-
since when is power the shining example of what is a good society?
Since
or
the
not?
human race has existed on the planet, naked force has settled more disputes in human history than anything else combined.
But you're confusing power with quality of life. Those are two different things, my friend.
No, but I'm like, if you're talking about how to get things done, naked force is how it gets done.
Not necessarily.
No, really.
The
If
Swiss
you
seem to
look
be
over-
okay
look
without
over-
using naked force.
But look over human history. Look over the course of human history, thousands of years of human history, kingdoms rising and falling since Babylon. I don't care. If you want to talk about how you settle a problem, you settle it with force. That's how
no,
it's
you
done.
settle it on the back of the poor slob that has to go fight for a rich asshole.
Force. You settle it with your same thing. Two sides of the same coin. You settle it with force.
So we're talking about what's best for the. Okay, we're out of time,
are.
unfortunately.
Good luck
And it's
editing
just
this
getting-
one,
Continue
Tim.
this debate some other time.
Yeah.
We'll continue this
good one.
debate. This is a very interesting debate, and it kind of went to a philosophical direction that
Somebody starts
I wasn't
quoting
expecting.
Foucault and power. Where I'm out.
Well,
I like
alone
how-
moves the wheels of history. Have you ever asked yourself, in a moment of quiet contemplation,
This is an extremely important
no
note.
revolution is worth it unless it can defend itself. We are warriors. All right. Anyway, if you are enjoying this podcast, make sure you continue to check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out at toachange.ca. And
Leave
also
a comment
leave a comment.
congratulating us on this episode. Given the subject matter, we never once brought up Hitler. So congratulate us on that. And
Way to fucking ruin it. Way to put in a Nazi joke right at the end.
that happened.
Anyway, special thanks to Matt Ebel.
not Two and
Stay
Change,
stay
it's a
dry
Nazi
down
joke.
there.
Come on.
Anyway, for Two and Change, I'm Tim.
I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
I'm Steve.
We'll see you next time. Really? Really, you had to.
Of course I did. It's not Two and Change without a Nazi joke. Come on.
close.
Yeah, we did. We made it to within 45 seconds, and then here we are. Yeah.
Jeez. I just gotta say, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
You should have known better.
Yeah.
I have to say this, guys. This episode will be gas.
There was.
Oh, and that's not making it your future career prospects.
Yeah, fair enough.
Wow.
I know we're at the like trail off point.
No. I'm gonna make sure that
And
You're fake news too, Josh.
we're not even a news show. I mean, I think we're probably more light entertainment than anything.
You're just mad because President Trump is completely innocent and now gets to be president for life.
That's it. I'm hitting the button.
There's no button. That's also fake.
technically, he's not wrong.
Oh, for
Perfect.
okay.
That's why I run through it before.
So that we know what we're doing.
Josh, you're the reason we run through. Let's be honest.
Hey.
We used to do our first run through and our second and our third and our fourth like on the recording software because that way we'd have a nice blooper.
And it was
reel
a
for the-
pain in the dick. Yeah. Because we still have bloopers even when we run through. All right, Josh, it's over to you.
Hold on, I'm stripping.
Actually, I might do that too. It's getting warm in here.
All right.
Yeah, it's not winter anymore.
No kidding. It's nice, isn't it?
I can hit pause if we need to strip.
No.
It's getting hot in here.
Fuck this. I can keep recording. This is great.
That's why there's secretly a camera where they're recording everything.
Okay, moving on.
I never said it was a secret.
Welcome to late night, everyone.
All right. Quit trying to make a blooper reel. God.
I'm not trying to make a blooper reel. I don't
just happens.
I don't have to try.
You don't have to try.
This is good stuff.